pull out the wristbands and let's actually go through it this time and just tell us about what they are, what they mean. So Jorge's got a bunch of these wristbands. These are human smugglers. Put these on people, on kids.
I want you to at least keep these, Tim. It's good to have.
That's kind of scary. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, so these are so this is what kind of our reporting has showed, is that the Central Americans have to pay a human smuggling group or cartel group to cross the Rio Grande River. And the different color wristbands means there's different human smuggling groups. So here we have red ones, we have some black ones, and we have some purple ones. The majority of these ones say entregas, which means delivered. That means the product has already been delivered. So either if they haven't paid the full payment, then they become indentured servants on our side, but they also have to pay for the kids. Yeah, these are... It's insane to see it in person, because I mean, literally,
like pull it straight so people can read what it says.
Yeah, like I mean, like literally last night, guys, we were interviewing migrants coming from Nicaragua that were human smuggled right in front of us. We have the video; it's up on Twitter, and we got to collect these from the migrants. The reason that I keep getting asked, like, why do you collect them? Is like we're trying to show
these are numbered, dude. These have serial numbers.
Yeah, and it's different. Like it's different, you know, for me just telling you like, hey, this is what's going on. Then when you see it in person, you're like, whoa, wait,
dude, this is a mechanized industry.
Oh,
there is a serial number on these bands.
Yep. Well organized.
4,186.
Yeah.
4488.
And Ian, and then like last night, like the little kids would have them on their ankles,
1247.
And it's just it's crazy how they treat these people. And like I said, last night there was a moment where one of the males from Nicaragua had his little boy, and you could just tell he was not the father. I mean, he was manhandling this kid like a product. And when we had the cameras filming him, he was frantic, trying to like hide behind a National Guardsman. And the crazy thing too, Tim, is being there in person is, so you know, on the Mexican side, we're witnessing the raft come with the kids. I mean, we're talking about babies in these boats that could drown. I mean, it's like one of the saddest scenes when they get dropped off on the American side and seeing that struggle. But so they come from the Mexican side. On the American side is a National Guard with flashlights directing them to come here. So then they'll literally drop them off right in front of the National Guard. And sometimes the National Guard goes in and assists them. And then so we asked them, like, you know, how come you guys don't pursue the human smugglers? According to them, they say they don't arrest the human smugglers because their worry is that when they go to arrest them, that they'll flip over the raft. So then the kids would drown, and then all the attention goes to the kids. But I just can't believe this. Like, it's just happened so brazen. Yeah, it's so it doesn't even matter. We could have every single National Guard from every single state be there, but they're literally doing nothing. I mean, and then they have like M16s that don't even have. They're not even loaded.
Dude, migration has been the downfall of a lot of nations over the millennia.
Look at Sweden right now. They're struggling massively with having all these huge influx of Afghans.
I actually don't think that's true. A lot of the problems that Sweden's facing has to do with 20 years ago. So when Somali refugees, and it's not even the refugees, it's their kids who are because Sweden is so overwhelmingly racist. What they did was in the 90s they brought in a bunch of Somali refugees. Those refugees then had children who are 100% Somali, but born in Sweden, speaking Swedish. And then because Swedes are so racist, they were like, we're not going to give you jobs or education. So you basically create ghettos. And then these people who are from Sweden aren't viewed as Somali by their, family in Somalia. And they're not viewed as Swedish by people in Sweden. So they form pocket communities, effectively viewing themselves as outside the state. So that's Sweden's issue. And I of all the people to talk about social justice or whatever, now Sweden's legit racist. Like, they will not give you a job if you do not conform. And we talked to a bunch of Americans who said the same thing. So it's maybe race isn't the right word. Maybe they're like
homogenous, like
nationalists.
Yeah.
Like, if you are not discernibly Swedish in accent and color, they won't hire you. It becomes very, very difficult. But they will create ghetto subsidized housing. I mean, like literal ghetto, not, subsidized housing blocks where they'll put you, and then be terrified when violence breaks out. So it is a bit different, in Sweden. Yeah,
going back to the Roman Empire, basically part of the downfall of that was all the mass migration from the north because the Huns were coming from the east, and it's just spilled over. And then you'd see in desperate times there would be these huge like civilizations would be migrating, and the Romans would go murder them all because they couldn't handle it. It was like, if they come, we lose. So this is a horrible dystopic future that could happen if we don't somehow solve this.
Yo, it's happened. It's happened.
Well, we have technology. We have like long range communication now.
1.5 million apprehensions this year, not counting the people who break through without being caught. It's unprecedented. This is, people say I'm doomer, I'm black pilled, we shouldn't be, we're gonna win. I'm like, you didn't understand something. Freedom may win, but not before the system around us falls apart. So where you are, things might actually start getting, I mean, it's bad right now, right? But I don't think the United States survives everything that's happening. From the mandates, from the breakdown between states, the social cohesion, to the mass migration. It's just, I don't see the republic as it stands surviving this. Now, as for us as individuals and our culture, I think it's going to be a good for a lot. Like Texas is going to do better. Florida will do better. West Virginia will do better. New Hampshire will do better. New York and California, I suspect, will do worse. But maybe those people enjoy it and they'll be happy with it.
Tim, did you see Sarah Silverman come out and was like, "Oh, we need to split it to like USA 1 and USA 2."
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
It's not about we need to. It's that the sentiment is there, and I think we're on that track no matter what we want to do.
Yeah,
Centralized authority.
I mean, because we have two different populations in America. We have I listen to everything the government tells me, and then we have hey, stay out of our lives. We still want to keep that old school American style. So we're seeing that split. But what's actually also interesting on the immigration is Chile this past week was actually holding protests against the Venezuelan migrants that are coming into their country. So we're seeing that play out in South America as well. But as of right now, we're getting reports that more Haitians are making the trek to the U.S.-Mexican border.
Yeah. And, it was fun, huh?
Yeah.
That's black pill.
Soviets only
that's a black
years.
Yeah. While he's holding a literal black pill.
Yeah, it's Ian's obsidian. Yeah. Soviet Union only lasted 69 years. The United States, we got, 200 and about 270 almost, 260 something. Right? Is that what we're at?
Yeah, and just letting in this huge migration isn't good. I mean, and then we're also seeing with all the the Afghan immigrants that we just brought, the refugees we just brought in, there are already reports of some sexual assault in some of the military camps that they're staying at. We just have to vet these people. I was speaking to Border Patrol agents. They're saying it's impossible to vet these migrants at the pace that they are. It's like it takes such a long time. There's no way we know anything about these people, especially the gotaways. That's actually the real scary number.
When you look, so there's a lot of stuff we talk about when we say like the republic is falling or whatever. Joe Biden's rule by decree, separation of powers are completely gone. The states are so far at odds with each other. There's no compromise. The Democrats are like, get rid of the filibuster and ram through our agenda in the face of Republicans instead of just take care of your own states. Why should New York ram through an agenda for West Virginia? It makes no sense. But what are we hearing in response? Conservatives being like, if we get the House back, we're going to impeach Biden. And I respect that. They should. But they're like, we'll get rid of the filibuster, then we'll ram through stuff. And it's like, bro, the only track we're on is it breaks apart. But when you mention the National Guard is just fanning these people in and being like, well, there's not much we can do. It's like, dude, when your border can't guard its border and people can walk back and forth for takeout, you have no border. And if you have no border, you have no country.
It's honestly... It's a joke, Tim, how just watching like them go back and forth, then seeing the National Guard, I'm like, what are we doing to it? And there's like literally no enforcement, and the cartels continue to win. The establishment politicians that push these policies continue to win, and I just don't know how long we could sustain this. I think we're on pace right now for 2 million apprehensions at the U.S. southern border, still not counting those gotaways that get in. We have these large family units that we don't know if they're family units getting processed into the United States, getting flown all over the country. I just flew today from the McAllen Airport to Dallas, and then on my flight, I mean, it was the majority were Central American migrants
holding those
being
little
flown,
folders,
holding with the folders that say, "I don't speak any English. Can you help me with my next flight?" And then on the other side, it has all the like where they're stopping. So say like McAllen to Houston to New York, or McAllen, Houston to New Jersey, whatever. So they're being flown all over. So are the Haitians. Like I said, the majority of Haitians that I interviewed are going to Florida, but still they're getting flown all over, and there's no track. There's no way to track these migrants. And another thing is there's no way to make sure that they even go to that court order. I was speaking to Border Patrol sources. They say only 13% of the time they even go to that court order. So it's they already said we are essentially just already let them loose. And then when you speak to the Haitians, like, hey, are you gonna go to your court order? They're like, what? I live here now. Yeah. So they look at me like I'm crazy. So that's the situation that we have at hand. And supposedly we're still going through a pandemic, yet we're releasing thousands of folks who are not tested for COVID-19.
Who was it? Peter Ducey, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
The journalist?
Yeah, Peter Ducey.
He asks Psaki, are you testing these people for COVID when they cross the border? And she's like, no. Yeah,
she's like, oh, we're not testing them because they don't plan to stay here long. I'm like, well,
unlike
that's the opposite.
Tourists.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the opposite we're seeing on the ground. The thing is, when they get a court order, these migrants, that court order could take up to even 3 years for them even to have a date.
What is the red bracelet?
These are just, like I said,
Same
it's
thing?
it's like every color is a different migrant or smuggling group. So last night we were running into the same group with all these black bracelets, and the majority of the migrants that we spoke to last night were coming from Nicaragua. We did meet 2 from Cuba, which I was pretty shocked. But
Wow.
every time that we're down there, we want to show these people or show the American audience, like, look what's going on at an alarming rate. And the thing is, it's like the national attention from the border. It, like, the spotlight moved as soon as the Haitians got cleared out of the bridge. Like, we were there, all the mainstream media left, and they were done. And I was like, you know what? Let's continue to show people what's going on. And I'll be back in Texas pretty soon. But this situation, like I said, it rolls out not just Texas, but like how Sagnik and I being in California, seeing those migrants being forced to work those grow ops, and it's happened all across California and in different states as well.
You were saying, Ian, like in ancient Rome, they were dealing with a migration crisis?
Yeah, the Huns came from the east, and tons of civilizations fled into like northeast Rome. I mean, is that basically the fall of the empire? Is a big part of it.
Yeah.
There was also, wasn't there like a credit crunch?
I don't know. I know in Greece there was. I don't
Yeah.
know if in ancient Rome there was.
It does feel though like China is laughing at us, seeing this huge demise and kind of everything you were saying too, Tim, with like the state powers and stuff. But it's also that our elites in this country are not even loyal to this country. They have already aligned themselves with China, whether it's big business, whether it's entertainers or politicians. They've all decided that they have aligned themselves with, the Chinese
Maybe
Communist Party.
2008 was the iceberg, and since then the elites have been like, well, we got 20 years. Start collecting that silverware to sell off. And they hit up China and say, look, our ship's sinking. We want a place, we want a safe landing, so we'll give you all the good, fine china from the boat. That's what we're facing.
Look at the whole situation with John Cena. He came out and said something about positive, or I think he like recognized Taiwan, and then within 2 days he's already making his video in Mandarin apologizing to the Chinese people.
Like,
but that's all the American companies do. The same thing is they'll bow down their head to China. That's why I love South Park when they continue to troll China and Jing and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, our elites, our politicians have all aligned with them, and they're not loyal to this country. I mean, we've already been seeing this, in the NAFTA and the trade deals when we shipped all of our manufacturing jobs to China, and we saw states like Michigan and Ohio, and Pennsylvania lose all that manufacturing jobs, and we saw all those basically huge unemployment in men that we're used to. I'm talking about like single income family men now have no jobs because those manufacturing jobs got shipped. Either now we're seeing on the southern border all the fentanyl and opioids getting pushed into those same communities.
It's a bit apocalyptic, I guess.
Black pill.
I think in the long run, I mean, humanity is going to be fine. But for a lot of people, I think they view America as the world. And so what I see it is like, look, if in the end, West Virginia, Texas, New Hampshire, Florida, Wyoming, whatever, red state, says we're going to do our own thing, is that really the end of the world? Is it really bad?
I don't know.
No, definitely not. Look at the Sea Peoples, another group of migrants, 1200 BC or something, that came from the north, and no one knows why, but they overran Mesopotamia. And it was the end of like civilization as it was known. And then like small dark age, and then you start to see like the resurgence. But that's just the nature of reality is tragedy and migration. I don't know. We have great technology, long range electricity, long range communication electricity. So maybe we can use the American ideals and rewrite like a more organized system for the globe. I think it's beyond nationalism at this point. Obviously, these borders don't really matter anymore.
But it's also a huge cultural problem because these people are not going to assimilate, and if they're working low wage, low skilled jobs, they're most likely going to get on some type of welfare. That then after that, the American taxpayer has to pick up that bill.
Not only that, like let's say if someone's whole ideology is not aligned towards protecting what America is based on and stuff like that, and like they go towards empathizing more with these migrants. So like think about. I would appeal to them, like think about what they have to go through, right? Because like when we were talking to all these people in the deserts, they were like, we watch these people run these marijuana camps, all these illegal immigrants. They do not look happy. They have to work in like 100 degrees out in the open, running these pot farms, being forced to do so. If they don't abide by these rules,
they get killed.
Cartel will kill them. So if you're like just like as like let's say you're like a full-on progressive and you're all about immigration and all about letting people in, like just think about what conditions these people have to go through. And the fact that
but Sagnik, they don't, because this is impacting black and brown people at a record number, and they're nowhere to be found. Not one progressive has even came down to the border and says, look at these conditions. Look at these facilities that are overpopulated by over 500%. Some of these facilities, like I said, some of these pods are only made for 8 people. They got 400 people in there. Even NBC News is reporting that they're getting sexually assaulted. Where is that outreach? Only when they need votes, they come speak up. But that's it.
Yeah, otherwise it's a conspiracy.
Like, look at the photos and like that came from like the Haiti situation. Like, those photos were like horrible to look at. Yeah. Like, if like, let's say you have like no empathy whatsoever to like the American ideal and protecting populism and all that stuff, like, just empathize with these people. Like, this whole situation at the end of the day was created by these policies, and these attracted these people, and they were like all starry-eyed and, let's say, a little exploitive, like, let's take advantage of it. And now they're going through this whole mess. Like, as a super progressive person, like, I'm pretty sure this is not what you wanted, to see all these people like go through all this mess.
Yeah, I'm interested now in the 2024 race, because immigration is going to become again a top issue. A lot of Democratic voters that I'm speaking to every day, the immigration issue is getting them to switch. They said, okay, hold on. And that's why Biden's approval rating just kept dipping. And then we were speaking to some DHA sources who they told us the Biden administration was taking such a political blowback on the Haitian migration. They said by Friday, all those Haitian migrants need to be off the bridge and port of entry open. We're going to act like nothing ever happened.
So I don't think Democrats can survive politically.
No, this is a huge blowback.
I mean, you got a year, basically an eternity, so we'll see what happens. But Biden's approval rating's in the gutter. The honeymoon period's over. People are starting to wake up to the fact that this guy's out of his gourd and he can't run or manage anything. I think Joe Biden's presidency was literally a steal all the silverware before the people find out what your plan is. So it's like South Park. Remember that South Park episode from 2000? I think it was 2008. Obama and McCain run for president, and the real point was a heist. They needed to get access to the White House, so it was like Ocean's 11 or whatever.
Yeah, it was like through. I was like, whoa.
That's what it is. Joe Biden was like, once I become president, I can extract as much as I can from the system before it implodes.
And Kamala Harris has also taken a huge hit on her popularity, because she basically got assigned border czar. And she's been taking a hit. And according to some of these White House sources who have came out and are talking, they're saying Kamala Harris doesn't want to visit the border because she doesn't even want to take the blame anymore, and she kind of felt like they put her in that position. But she's taking a huge hit. Biden is taking a huge hit, because on this one issue, you could get those Latino Democratic voters to say, hold on, this is our people now. I'm not voting for this again. So we'll see. And then all those, and the data backs it up, because if you look at the Texas border towns, they're all 80% majority Latino. In 2016, all those border towns voted overwhelmingly for Clinton. I mean, they're Democrat. Then 2020, Trump won all those counties by the border. And you're seeing those working class Latinos finally say, this is enough. It's impacting our local communities. I put the video out on Twitter where I interviewed Latino working class in Del Rio, and they were just livid at the Haitian migration situation. I mean, I was speaking to one resident whose brother is a veteran. He said that when his brother needed to go to the hospital, they were full of migrants. They could not help him out.
Next year is going to shock. I think it's fair to say, if the trends continue with the border of Texas and with Miami, a blue district going red, I mean, Democrats might be shocked. Historically, a president doing this bad should lose 30 to 50 seats.
The border wasn't even this bad under Obama. I mean, and the thing is, when we were covering the border crisis in the beginning, I kept thinking, oh, it can't get worse than this. Then the numbers continue to get worse. Like I said, July and August, first back-to-back months, over 200,000 apprehensions. We're already over 1 million. I think by the same rate last year, we're already at a 5% increase. 500% increase in apprehensions. This is nothing like we've ever seen before. I speak to Border Patrol; they're overwhelmed, and now they also not only are they overwhelmed with the situation, they're not getting any help from the administration. And then to top it off, they're now being attacked politically by that administration with these fake viral photos of them getting whipped. Yeah. And what I love about that story is the photographer for that 2 days ago told El Paso KTSM, which is local news station, that him and his colleagues didn't see any whipping at all. Yep. Yet the Biden administration ran with it. Jen Psaki came out and announced that the Biden administration is going to ban horse patrol in the Del Rio sector, and those agents that day are put on leave.
All lies. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.